A couple things. Would you be able to explain to some of the younger people, like, I don't think they really know their rights when they get pulled over, and also when they do get stopped, how they react to you guys, because I'm like in the middle, because I'm 34, so I seen when you get pulled over, the cops, treat you with respect, they give you a ticket or they don't, and this is like the last couple of years, this is the first time I actually seen all this with traffic stops, because my uncle was a cop, Wilmington police officer, and when things that he showed me and told me is, you guys have probable cause when you do pull a car over, and I think this generation now, they don't know their rights or their wrongs when they do get pulled over. Certain things can get them pulled over, and I think if you guys can explain that to some of the younger people, their rights and their not rights.
First, it's some of this stuff is outlined in the brochure if you don't have it. But if you get stopped, the first thing you should do is provide your information. You have to provide your information. License, registration, insurance. You cannot refuse. You cannot. You have your information, you provide it, you hand it to the officer. Once you hand it to the officer, you have a right to ask, why am I being stopped? You have a right to ask. He may tell you, he may not, but you have a right to ask. If he does not ask him again. But do not get irate or vengeful with him, because then you're aggravating him. If he's going to give you a ticket, take the ticket, sign the ticket. Signing the ticket does not mean you're guilty. It just means that you received a copy of the ticket. You received a copy of the ticket, and it will either have a court date on it, or it will have a time that you have to pay that fine. That's what signing that ticket is. If you do not agree with that ticket, you can then go to court and request a trial. The officer who gave you that ticket must appear in court with you at that time. And then you can have a trial before the judge. But the main thing you do is, whatever he asks you for, give it to him. Do not refuse. Do not make it a situation where it can escalate. Roll your windows down, your license, your registration, insurance, and pass it to the officer.
Also, if you're walking and a police officer stops you, you must give them your name, address, date of birth, where you're going, and where you're coming from. It's like he said, for them to stop you, we had some kind of probable cause. So those are the 5 things you must give them. If he said, did you rob that store? You don't have to say anything. But if he asks you your name, your date of birth, address, where you're coming from and where you're going, you must give it to him. If not, he have every right to detain you. He can take you back to the police station, and he can detain you for at least 2 hours. So we can do it on the street, or we can do it at the police station.
Would you be able to give an example of probable cause?
Say for example, somebody just got robbed somewhere, and you were walking down the street and you fit the description. We can stop you. You may have taken off your glasses, but everything else, like you had on, like black male, 5'7", 5'8", thin built, green clothing, glasses. Well, you don't have on glasses, but everything else looks like what they said. So I'm going to pull you over and I'm going to ask you. And then I may even take you back to the scene and say, hey, is this the person? I do have that right, because I do have probable cause. All right, we're just not stopping you because we just ride down the street and we want to stop you. That ain't so. We got other things that we can be doing, but if you fit the description, even if you had on, if they said all green and now you have on a white shirt, I'm just going to stop you because I see some green, because people do get confused, So, hey, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Is there anywhere I can take you?
He just came out of the police academy, so he got some more information.
Yeah. Another thing is, a lot of times, it seems pretty common. We work in the city. So, majority of our young males are black males, and they dress in white, black t-shirts, black jeans. Majority of the time, if something happens, when the caller calls in, they say, hey, he was a black male, he had on a black t-shirt and black jeans. The whole city, black males, black t-shirts, black jeans. So if you're in that area, there's a possibility that you could be stopped. So just keep that in mind when these officers are talking to you, when we approach you, that the only thing, not everybody's a police officer. Hey, he was 5'7", he had a beard, he got light brown eyes, he had on green sneakers, blue jeans, black shirt, he had a watch on, long fingernails. That's not what they're giving us. So just keep that in mind when you stop.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer. Captain, I think you addressed this issue, but I have an issue with some officers who approach some people. I mean, this has not been my situation, you know, where officers come to a vehicle and, you know, they have their chests puffed up and they're amped up themselves with such a tone. And just as you said, if we have a certain tone, it sets your tone. But you have to understand, and maybe you could share that with the officers, that you're approaching us with a tone as well and a puffed up chest. So automatically, I think people become a little defensive. And then my other point is, it's just a suggestion. Maybe in your talks with the police academy, maybe the officers going to the academy can possibly do community work in the city, because a lot of the officers who work in the city don't live in the city. They have no compassion, no empathy, no sympathy. And I frankly think that's where the issue comes into play. And I think maybe in your talks with the academy, maybe they can do some kind of community work as part of their academy training in the city, so they can see the issues in the community that you're going to be working in, because you may not even live in that community. And I think that's what a lot of the issues are.
Yeah, well, Jennifer, you hit it on the point, but these young men, they just graduated from the academy about a year and a half ago. And when I did culture, diversity, and I spoke to them on the issue, I even had them bring a sense of who they were to it. We walked through the community, we had a community walk, where we walked from one end of the city all the way around to the other end of the city, and they do community work. You hit a point. You cannot control what comes out of my mouth. I can't control what comes out of your mouth. As Corporal Sutton said, that may get it amped up, but there's two things. This badge holds a public trust and responsibility and professionalism. And they tell you, I didn't laugh at me because I'm a cartoon dude. And I love the thing about Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. I understand that. Where we are given the authority to detain and take your freedom, just like that, with probable cause. Let me make that clear. With probable cause now. I don't want anybody saying it, but that's right. You're on the defense, but again, it's twofold. Yes, there are some officers that do come up in that manner. And as everybody said on this panel, what you can control is you. What you can't control is looking for their name, the badge, the time of the day, the location, and a brief synopsis of what went on and how to make that complaint. You can't control what comes out of that person's mouth, but you do those things and you follow through. That's one thing. If you don't follow through, that person is not on the radar. Most people do it like, man, he was blankety blank, blank, blank. I'm just glad to get away from him. But there's nothing done. There's no paper trail. There's no documentation. So when you say, or somebody makes a complaint and he has a stellar record with no blemishes because nobody came forward, it's hard, to come at it that way. But it's just that if he tried to say, well, she was doing this and she's doing that, and you're respectable, don't have a criminal record, not into those type of activities, it makes it harder for the officer to do that. But I agree with you, and they do the community police work. Thank you.
Also, as we said earlier, if you have a complaint document everything. Put it in writing. Put it in writing. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. You can argue, you can tell anybody you want, but when time comes, if you don't have anything in writing, it didn't happen. You have to put it in writing. If you feel that you were disrespected, if you feel that somebody said something to you that was not correct, put it in writing. It may not happen, anything may not happen the first time, it may not happen the second time, but what you're doing is you're building a paper trail for this person. Down the road, when something does happen, they will be able to go back and pull all these complaints and put them together. So then you have a person who has a history of doing things and saying things, but you have to put it in writing.
See, also, Jennifer, what you said, like the captain, everybody said, it makes sense. But, you know, you can control yourself. You can't control me. You know what I'm saying? So if I come to you and I approach you that way, you're right, it can cause you to get heightened up and become, but at the end of the day, while we're here to educate y'all so y'all can go home safe. So, you know, there's no mishap. Same thing, come up here with I always like to tell people, you know, again, in every situation that a police officer responds to, there's a gun, there's a weapon. And sometimes, a lot of time, confrontation with people may not have bad intentions, but it's how things are perceived. You know, now, he might be a bad officer, he might be doing the wrong thing, and he might go to arrest you, and then you want to push off like this, or your intentions might be not to hurt or kill this officer. Your intention might be, I'm going to slam this officer, I'm going to pick this officer up. So, as I go to pick him up, it's going to be, look where my hand is. Look where my hand is. Okay, and all my intention was, I want to slam him for the young folks so I can get away and run. But look where my hand is. I'm going to pick him up, my hand is near his gun. I fear for my safety. So situation, again, it start off, it could be a car stop, you get excited, the officer start to get excited, the officer say you under arrest, because when we give you a ticket on the street, it's a courtesy. We can take you down to the police station and arrest you on that ticket. So that's why we tell you, don't argue on the street. That's not the time for court. That's the time to document, to observe. But that's the most important thing, especially for any situation. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you don't want to fight a person that's in uniform. You don't want to do it. Because if they fear for their safety, and can't nobody tell them whether I fear for my safety. His level of fear, her level of fear is all different.
I mean, one more thing that's going to be here. Everybody in here mostly have one of these, right? If you don't know how to record on this, your kids will show you. When you stop, you hit the record button. You record the whole conversation. Then you ain't got to worry about remembering nothing happened.
But if you're going to do that, you're going to record it. Please. Yeah, I'm recording you right now. No, that's for your benefit. Yes, sir, officer. Got it right here. That's all I'm saying.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Marsh. I'm a member of Simon's Blood City Association, and I'm also a member of King Baptist Church. My question to you is when you're pulled over by an officer and they ask you for your license, registration, and your registration, where should it be? Where should it be?
For your license is always
Okay. Prior to the stop, if you know you're getting stopped and pulled over, you don't have to go reach any other information right now. You can wait till the officer goes to the car and ask you for the information. At that point, you say, officer, it's in my glove compartment, it's above my visor, wherever you have it. So now I'm getting my information for you. Or a lot of times, but my grandfather used to always tell us to just keep it over the visor. Wherever they had the registration and insurance card over the visor, and you get your license, hand it to the officer and come to the window.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, because a lot of times if it's in your glove compartment, and you have to reach. If you've got an officer that's telling people that if you're reaching for something, that's not a good idea. So
Exactly.
I say over the visor.
Exactly. So make sure that when they approach, he or she, when they approach your car, at that point, when you got the window down, it's nighttime, the inside light is on, let them know where your information is. Okay? That way, when you're reaching for something, you know what you're going to get.
That's your question, man.
One second, I'm sorry, 1 second, Pat. What I do is when I get stopped, because I travel a lot, so when I get stopped by the state trooper, when I see the lights going, I said, oh my God. I pull over, and my registration is always in my glove box. I reach over there, pull out my registration, and my insurance card that I keep together. It's always in my glove box. Pull it out, take out my license, and I put down all my windows. I just put down all my windows. Because I don't want him to feel that he's being threatened, because it's always my sister, my mother, and myself. So it's like 4 of us all the time, or 3 of us. So that's where I keep mine. I think that your registration insurance card should always be with the car. Because if you're not with the car and you have it on your person, in your pocketbook or somewhere, and the police pulls over somebody that has your car, then you're going to get a ticket for no proof of insurance and no proof of registration. And then you're going to have to come to court and prove that you had registration insurance, which we can look it up. We can look it up, but you're supposed to have it in your car. So I said it should be in your car at all times. Registration and insurance card should be with that card, whatever car it is.
Right.
All right?
But when they're putting up behind you and the lights are on, you see them coming. If you reach over to get your information, they see you reaching over. They're probably, sometimes they can think that you're reaching over to get something to harm them. And
Right.
that's the most important thing with the young black men.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, and that you know, I'm gonna give you an example. You're sitting here in the car. What I like to say is this: is that you know when you say woo 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 woo, and that comes up and the flashing lights, you know, Hollywood type thing. You know who we are when we stop. So a lot of times people think, well, why did he have to do this? Why did he have to do that? When we come up to the car and we stop you, we have no idea who you are. We don't know if you're reverend, you're a person, decent human. We have no idea. So when you see us come out, a lot of times, we might get that command voice, windows down, cut the car off, you know, shut it off, roll the windows down, and we come up and you see us with our hand on our gun. Because the bottom line is we don't know who it is. Now, what I suggest to you, what I suggest to young men, women, and anybody, you don't make a move until they ask you. That's the safest way. He said, windows down. Don't light on, sitting there. You know, I even advise to put your hands on the steering wheel, palms up, but a lot of times little people will say, well, you got, who taught you that? Well, somebody's a police officer. Anyway, that way, there's no confusion. You're waiting for the commands. License, registration, proof of insurance. Excuse me, officer. Do you have a mind? Do you mind me reaching over to my glove box? Because that's where it is. Ask the question. Ask the question. You're allowed to ask. It's in my glove box. It's in my purse. It's in my console. Can I reach for it? Or would you like me to reach for it? Those answers, yes, you do those things. That's in compliance. Now, obviously, as Lieutenant Count said, Jennifer eloquently put it, if I come up to her and says, give me your license, registration, proof of insurance right now. Evidently, you know, you're boiling. And for young people, see, we won't keep it real. Young people, it's about, I ain't soft. Who you think you talking to? I ain't no chump. You know what I mean? My case is just as long as his. The bottom line is, as Lieutenant Counsel eloquently put it, now, I was disrespectful, obviously. But that's me and you. You're recording it, and if you do, now we get in the conversation. What do people see? They see the young man, or whoever, fighting with the police because he pulled them over. Not, he said something derogatory to him. Not, he did some other things. So what I suggest to you to answer your question, wait. Keep it safe, windows down, pull over down. For ladies, you know, all you divas out there, number 10s and 15s and 20s, you may not feel comfortable stopping at a certain location there. So what I suggest that you do is that you don't speed. Pick up your phone. 911. My name is such and such. There's an officer behind me. I'm by myself. This location where you initially started to pull me over, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to pull over here. Could you let them know that I'm not loose? I'll pull over here. When the officer comes up, he may be a little annoyed. Did you see me behind you? Did you see me following you? Yes, sir, officer, I did. But for your safety as well as mine, I didn't want any confusion. It was dark with it, and everything's happening. I know you want to go home safe at night, officer. I like to go home safe at night, too. You know, I'm a diva. I got 10, 15 points on me. I got to go. You know what I mean? So you let them know that.
Would you respect somebody's response to a female's response like that?
I mean, if you're asking me personally, absolutely. Especially if you're giving it to me in a thing where I knew initially where I was going to stop you was kind of, and you came up, and the WILCOM, which means our communication, called from that. What I'm saying to you is, you have anything in the radio room, and I want to keep this out because I know we have other people in line. When you call into the radio room, those lines are taped. They're held for 60 days. So if you call on the line and you start cursing and howling and screaming, it's taped. If you call on the line, you give it praise, it's taped. If you call on the line and says, listen, my name is such and such, I just didn't feel comfortable there, all that's going on, I'm going to pull right in the wild, what have you. Yes, it's taped. Thank you, John.
I have one more question.